p.m. City Attorney, will you please report for the City Council's successor agency closed sessions?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, Madam President. At this, the City Council successor agency are now back in open session, having met in closed session to discuss the items on the respective City Council and successor agency agendas. With respect to the City Council closed session agenda item number 1, the City Council received a briefing from staff. Direction was given, but no final action was taken. With respect to items 2 and 3, those items were discussed together. The City Council gave direction to the City Attorney's Office to prepare an agreement between the city and city manager for a term of 2 years with a 1-year option. For the first year, the city manager will receive a 4% increase. For year 2, the city manager will receive an increase, but only if the bargaining units also receive an increase. And with respect to the third year, assuming the option is exercised by the City Council, the city manager will also be entitled to an increase, but again, it will be tied to the increase given to the bargaining units. That agreement will be brought back before the City Council at the next regular meeting for approval in open session. With respect to the successor agency closed session agenda, the successor agency received a report from the agency negotiators. Feedback was provided, but no final action was taken in closed session. Thank you.
If there is no objection by the successor agency and City Council, I will now adjourn the closed session City Council and successor agency meeting at 6:09 p.m. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, March 14, 2022, 6 p.m. regular meeting of the Bell Garden Successor Agency to the Community Development Commission. The meeting will not come to order at 6:09. Pursuant to Assembly Bill 361, please be advised that members of the Bell Garden Successor Agency may participate in today's meeting telephonically. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. If any agency member should have a conflict of interest virtually, please leave the room by turning off video and muting yourself. You may still continue listening to the meeting. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Leal, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Chief Fairfield.
Is that on?
Is Pastor Leal on?
No.
Okay. City Manager, would you please lead us in prayer?
Actually, Mayor, if it would please the mayor, I'd ask our Community Development Director, Gus Romo. I know he's a man of faith, and I rely on him regularly for these types of discussions. So I think it would be good for the council if Community Development Director Romo would lead the council in a prayer for the invocation.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business, guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought and speech, impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you all. Thank you in the name of the Holy Father for your guidance today. Amen.
Please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agency Secretary, will you please call the roll of successor agency?
Yes, Chair. Agency members Barcena,
Present.
Cortez,
Present.
Flores,
Present.
Vice Chair Chavez,
Present.
and Chair Polito.
Present. We will now move to the first item on the agenda. Public participation is now open. Agency Secretary, would you please announce the instructions for public participation?
Yes, Mayor. There are no written comments that have been submitted. However, the members of the public will now have the opportunity to speak on items listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the chair and agency members. Each speaker and written comment is limited to 3 minutes. Written comments will be read out loud after all speakers have been heard. Anyone wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by pressing *9. When instructed, press *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through the Zoom app may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature on Zoom. And I have no hands raised, so that completes this portion of the agenda.
If there's no objection by the agency members, I will close public participation. We will now move to the consent calendar. Does any member of the agency wish to pull an item for separate discussion? If there's no objection, I will call for motion to approve the items on the consent calendar.
Cortez moves.
May I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Agency Secretary, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Chair. Agency members Barcena,
Yes.
Cortez,
Yes.
Flores,
Abstain.
Vice Chair Chavez,
Yes.
and Chair Polito.
Yes. We will now move to public participation for non-agenda items. Public participation is now open. Agency Secretary, are there any speakers?
We have no written comments. The members of the public will now have the opportunity to speak on items not listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the chair and agency members. Each speaker and written comment is limited to 3 minutes. Written comments will be read out loud after all speakers have been heard. Anyone wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by pressing *9. When instructed, press *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through the Zoom app may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature on Zoom. And there are no raised hands at this time, so that completes that portion of the agenda.
If there's no objection by the City Council, I will close public participation. Does any agency member wish to make a comment? If there's no objection by the successor agency, I will adjourn the successor agency meeting at 6:15 p.m. and call to order the City Council meeting. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, March 14, 2022, 6 p.m. regular meeting to the Bell Garden City Council. The meeting will come to order at 6:15. Pursuant to Assembly Bill 361, please be advised that members of the Bell Garden City Council may participate in today's meeting telephonically. Members of the public may view and listen to the meeting live online through the city's website as noted on the agenda. If any City Council member should have a conflict of interest, virtually please leave the room by turning off and muting yourself, and you may keep listening to the meeting. City Clerk, will you please call the roll of the City Council?
Yes, Mayor. Council members Barcena,
Present.
Cortez,
Present.
Flores,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez,
Present.
and Mayor Polito.
Present. We will now move to the presentation. City Manager, will you please announce the presentations for tonight?
Thank you, Mayor Polito. The first item we have is the Bell Gardens High School basketball team. A couple weeks ago, they moved through the CIF into the quarterfinals, and I think looked like they lost a buzzer beater there, which is the best kind of game to lose if you're going to lose one. But we just would like to celebrate them. And I will turn it over to you, Mayor Polito. We have the principal, coaches, the players, and I wonder if they would like to say a few words after you speak.
The City of Bell Gardens would like to present the certificate to the Bell Gardens High School Boys and Varsity Basketball Team. The Bell Gardens City Council is honored to recognize and congratulate you for making it to the CIF quarterfinals game. We are proud of the coaching leadership and entire team of your hard work, commitment, and dedication. And since we're all Lancers here, go Lancers. And we have certificate for you right here. Thank you so much for your hard work. Do any of you colleagues have any comments, remarks?
Thank you, Mayor Pulido. Thank you, Bell Gardens City Council. I guess I'll start it off by I just want to give praise and just say thank you so much to Coach Ware and his staff, Coach Rojas, Coach Angulo, and the rest of his staff, because they worked really hard. Our players just worked tirelessly the entire season. It's not just a one season process, as any basketball coach or anybody involved in athletics will tell you, that it is a complete process. For a lot of our kids, it was a 4-year journey that unfortunately has come to an end. But one of the things I'm really proud of is, and I think Coach Ware will remember this, when I was principal over at Suva Intermediate, I did tell him, and I gave him a call, and I said, you have a great group of kids coming your way. Take care of these boys, because they will do some great stuff in CIF and they will be very competitive. And sure enough, they were. And so I can't tell you enough how proud I am of the boys. They worked really hard. I call them boys, but we know they're young men now, and many of them are getting ready to go off to college. And so we're really happy. And once again, I can't thank you all enough for even acknowledging our teams. It's just a testament to the partnership that we're forging with the City of Bell Gardens and Bell Gardens High School. Thank you so much. And I can hand it over to the coach if he wants to say a couple things.
Thank you, Mr. Miranda, and thank you, Mayor, thank you, Council, for taking the time to honor the boys like this. I mean, they deserve every bit of the praise that they are getting right now, and it shows a lot about you guys as a council, that you know what's going on in your community, you know you're in touch with that community, and these boys represent it to the best. I want to say that no success, it takes a village. And so I really want to thank Mr. Miranda for all of his support. You can not every principal is driving hundreds of miles to go watch a team play in the playoffs. I mean, it shows his dedication to the boys. To my coaching staff, Coach Angulo, Coach Rojas, Coach Renner, every one of them was vital to our success. We went through a lot this season. I personally got COVID during the Christmas break. The coaching staff had to step up and keep the boys rolling. And that's exactly what they did. And so I really want to, give a big shout out to everybody there. But above all else, tonight is about the boys. I've been coaching 22 years, and that has taught me when you're blessed with a special group, you do not achieve the things that we were able to achieve without having a truly unique group of kids. And the thing I love about these kids the most is their story. They really represent the Bell Gardens community. They came up in our elementary schools. They went to, Suva Intermediate. They came to Bell Gardens together. They were 4 years in the program, and they did it right. They did it the right way. The things they accomplished were historical. We have 3 boys who were returners to the team this year, Cesar Mendoza, Alan Rodriguez, and Carlos Bedoya, who've now won 2 championships when it had taken us 23 years to put one together. So those boys can walk out of here saying they are back-to-back champions. This team reached the tournament finals in every single tournament that they entered. They won that back-to-back league title, and they went to the furthest in the playoffs that our school has been since 1962. And so this was no small feat that these boys pulled off. They deserve, like I mentioned earlier, they deserve every bit of praise that they are getting. And I really do thank the council once again for, taking this time, because they deserve it. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Do any of you council members have any comments for our team?
Yes, Mayor, may I? I just want to congratulate Bell Gardens High School, the basketball team, the adults in the lives of these children, because thanks to you, they went so far. And thanks to all of you who have invested in them, the principal, the coaches, all the staff members at Bell Gardens High School, alongside with their family members and their parents. If it wouldn't have been for this team effort that you mentioned, these kids wouldn't have gotten as far as they did. And also just their tenacity and their strength to get to where they did. And we're very proud, and we're proud that Lancers are shining. And I hope to continue to see this amazing work at Bell Gardens High School. So I applaud you, Principal Miranda, with the changes that we've seen at our high school, and also all the coaching staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to that. Congratulations, boys. Congratulations, Mr. Miranda, Mr. Ware, and to all of the coaching staff that took part of this successful basketball team. I know that it takes more than just athletic success on the court to be mentally strong and to be able to train your brain to not give up despite the adversities that these boys have been faced with and the cards that they've been dealt with. Through the pandemic, our city was tremendously hit. And I know that a lot of these boys went through very difficult times, but they stayed focused and they continued on the path to success. And with that type of mentality and that type of training that they've received from their amazing coaches, they're going to succeed at everything at life. And remember, even Kobe took losses. So it's going to be okay, guys. I congratulate you. And remember that whatever you guys need, I'm happy here to serve and support you all.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Of course.
Hello, I just want to say congratulations, guys. It's so cool that we're actually getting to see you there. We see all of our students. And also it's really cool to see, very refreshing to see the principal himself out here supporting. So thank you, Principal Miranda. Thank you, Coach, for your dedication. I want to let these guys know that are doing their thing out there playing basketball that that you guys make a difference just by being active and setting the example for all the younger kids. I used to play water polo, so I was more like in the pool the whole time. But I'll tell you something. I was in the marching band and I played the trumpet, and I would go play at your games, and they were my favorite games. Basketball games were always the best. I'm sorry to the football players, but I'm more of a basketball person. So I agree with what the coach said and what the principal said, that you guys deserve the praise, and that is a fact. And I would love to, if the band director over at Bell Gardens High School, if he lets me go and play at one of your games. I don't know if the band still plays. Principal, does the band still play at the games? I'm not sure if with the COVID situation.
It's been a little rough with COVID, but we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen once.
Yeah. As soon as you guys go back, I would love to be able to go and play a few of the tunes. Like Go BG is one of the ones that we would play at the basketball games all the time. But great job, guys. You guys deserve it. And great job to the council also for keeping their eye out about this item and showcasing the success of our community and our young athletes. Good job, guys.
You know, go ahead. I just wanted to chime in real quick. I know that Coach Ware is being a little modest, but I just want to mention one thing. He did touch on it. Our boys learned how to play basketball in the parks of Bell Gardens. All our boys learned how to play at SUBA, BGI, wherever they went to school. They put in that time in those gyms and in those public parks as little kids. We were the only public school left in the quarterfinals. The rest of them were private schools who recruit and bring players from other cities. We were the only grassroots team that was there. And for that, I get chills just saying that, because I'm extremely proud of our boys, because this was a true Lancer team, a true Bell Gardens community team that went to the playoffs and went that far. The rest of the teams, congratulations to them, but they had kids that they bust in from different cities to play for them. We were the only team that we were true, a City of Bell Gardens team. So I'm sorry I had to jump in there and say that. Thank you, Coach Ware. He didn't want to say that, but I will.
Good. I'm glad you're saying that. It's really important that we toot our own horn, because no one else is going to do it for Bell Gardens. Our kids have heart, and it shows every single time. It brings me so much pride that Bell Gardens went and is doing this with private schools, more affluent schools, with kids that have been playing in clubs and traveling teams, and they came in from our streets of BG. So go BG.
And they did. Those club teams did try to come take some of our kids, but they weren't going anywhere. They stood with Coach Ware and they said, we're Lancers. We're going to stay at Bell Gardens. We're not going anywhere else.
Thank you for so much for joining us. We'll make sure to get you certificate delivered, and continue doing what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Mayor Polito, before we continue, can I just make one brief comment?
No, just kidding.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'll make it short. I remember last year, Coach Ware, league champs after what 23 years, and now we're bringing it back again, back to back. That says a lot, right? That says a lot about these kids. That says a lot about the team, and where we're headed as a high school. Just really appreciate all the amount of attention, the amount of effort and constant blood, sweat, and tears that our kids have shed on and off that court. I had the honor and pleasure of being a student with Mr. Ware in his class, so I definitely understand the amount of care and really tireless effort that he puts in to the students. And again, words can't describe how proud it makes me feel that we're competing against private schools, right? We're going to Santa Barbara and we're competing with folks that have the means to be able to have perhaps a private basketball court in their own home, right? And that's something that we didn't get growing up. So really goes to show how much time and effort we're putting in, and let's continue doing it, right? I'm glad to see it on basketball. I want to see it in softball. I want to see it in soccer. I want to see it in baseball. I want to see it across all sports, water polo, you name it. And let's continue putting that goodness that we have of what Bell Garden's all about. So again, thank you to the staff, thank you to the coaches, and thank you to the parents. I think that's something that we forget about, the parents that constantly support their kids in these programs, right? On and off the court, whether that's through AP classes or whether that's in CIF, right, or league champs, or in the tournaments. So again, big shout out to the parents and the teachers that were able to understand, that allowed their students to perhaps leave 2 hours early and during fifth period to go away. That's important because it's special to wear that jersey and represent BG. So with that, I'll cut it here, but thank you to everybody.
One quick comment there to just kind of finish everything off, to show you guys that these boys aren't just winning on the court, they're winning off the court. Over the weekend, everybody, Mr. Miranda was just talking about how he got chills knowing that these boys came up through our community and went through our courts and what gave me chills over the weekend is right now is college acceptance time. And, one of our seniors, Carlos Bedoya, who was also league MVP, all CIF, he didn't just win on the court, he's winning off the court. He got himself into San Diego State this weekend. As everybody on the council knows, San Diego State gets the most amount of applications as far as Cal State's goes. So that shows that he was not only dedicated on the court, he's dedicated off the court, and it represents what this team was really about. And so once again, thank you to everybody for the praise, and let's keep it going. Go BG.
Go BG.
Fantastic. Our next recognition is very fit of Women's History Month. We want to recognize Catherine Hernandez, Bell Gardens student. The City of Bell Gardens is honored to recognize and congratulate you for placing in the top 16th in the 2022 CIF California State Wrestling Championships. We are proud of your hard work, commitment, and dedication, and we want to present you with this certificate. Fantastic job coming from someone who has no physical strength. Congratulations for everything that you did and for representing us.
So I'll start this one off also, just to give you this one. This one is really special to me because as a former Lancer and a former wrestler, I didn't get these beautiful ears just by chance. They were pounded on that mat for several years. And it's really special to me because we, in the history of Bell Gardens, we may have had maybe about 9 wrestlers that have made it to state in the entire history of our school. But no wrestler has competed at the level that Catherine has. And not only did she compete, but we have to keep in mind, she's just a sophomore. She's just a 10th grader. She still has 2 more years of competitive wrestling at the high school level. I can't tell you enough how proud I am of her. Coach Tapia has done an amazing job, coaching her, Coach Garcia. But I just need to make sure that I let everybody know because they're with her. As you can tell, you see from the picture that her entire team is behind her. that's a league championship team right there. That team won league. They not only won league the duels, but they also won the league finals, league championship. And this is a team that's predominantly freshmen and sophomores that took league. So there's a lot of special things that are going to happen with Bell Gardens wrestling. I'm really proud of the job that the wrestlers are doing. But more importantly, I'm just so proud of Catherine and the way she carries herself. If you saw her walking around campus, you would never guess that she was a state qualifier. She doesn't go around, acting like she's a big shot. She is very humble. I don't know if she's going to say anything right now because she's also really shy, but she is such a tremendous wrestler. And she's like, it's Jekyll and Hyde. She's really quiet, but once you get her on the mat, she's extremely fierce. And it was just a pleasure. I went up to Bakersfield and got a chance to watch her on day one of the CIF, of the state qualifying matches. And she did a tremendous job. So Catherine and the entire wrestling team and Coach Tapia, Garcia, thank you so much for the job that you're doing. And this recognition, Mayor Pulido and Bell Gardens City Council, I can't tell you enough how special it is to have you recognize our athletes and our students, because it is, like I said, a bond, a partnership that is growing. And I would look forward to moments like this. And I look forward, once COVID calms down a little bit, to having you all on our campus and really showcasing the strength that we have between our school and City Hall. So thank you so much. Let me see if you there, Coach Tapia, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I kind of say a few words too.
I just want to say thank you for all the support you guys put in me.
That's it. All right, I'll speak on her behalf too. Hi, I'm Coach Tapia. This is my first year actually coaching at Bell Gardens, and I feel like we've done a really great job. And a lot of it is part and due to support from our amazing admin, Principal Miranda and Patlan. And we also had amazing support from Councilwoman Lizette Flores. That means a lot that that we don't just get support from the school, but really from the city. The city council really helps a lot, motivates the team, gives a lot of morale. And our team really is all new. We only have like 2 returners, and the boys ended up winning league after years, of not, being able to reach. Sometimes they got close, but we haven't been able to do so. But and this year we not only took league, but we qualified almost every single weight class except one TCIF. And our goal is really just to discipline and teach the team to work hard, and the rest just kind of falls into place like that. And Kat here ended up qualifying all the way to state. Ended up 16 in the state, right? Top 16 in the state, and that's something really important, and speaks volumes to the amount of work she's put in, and not just like in this season, but over the years. She's been wrestling since middle school with her uncle, and it's coming, into high school as a leader with the vision, making, the whole team better. She does leads by authority and by example. Everybody wants to be, when they see Kat wrestle, they're like, wow, I want to get to that level. I want to work that hard to be up there one day. And we're really proud of her making history, in this school and the whole community. Wrestling is a difficult sport. It's only a one division. We don't really get broken down into, oh, we're D1, D2. You just get thrown up there, and it really is a battle, because you go in tournament after tournament until you end up at state. You got to go through league finals, CIF, masters, and then state. And along the way, you have some of the top kids in the state at those previous tournaments before you even end up at state. So, and she's only a sophomore, so we're expecting, great things. She's gonna have a lot more accomplishments to come in the future. As head coach, I just want the team to continue working hard, not just on the mat, but off the mat academically. I want to be that coach, kind of like Coach where after the kids are done at BG, I want to be like, oh, this kid, he's at this college, he's doing this, he has this job, I think he's making this much, I want to be that kind of coach that has those kids that become, great people after high school. And, I feel like that's part of being a coach. I tell these kids to work hard, be dedicated. That translates into things they do, not just in the sport, but off the mat, in school, in their jobs, and into their relations with others. That's what I love about being a coach, is I want to have that positive impact on people.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'll try to make this very quick, but Catherine, I just want to congratulate you personally. I remember when I had my water polo practices like 100 years ago at Bell Gardens High School, we would go to the weight room first, and then we would walk over to the pool because I was in water polo. And I remember seeing the wrestlers doing their workouts up and down the stairs. I don't know if you guys are still in the same area, but they had them working out hard. So to know that you're out there representing young women and getting it done and leaving a mark like that in our community, I just want to say that's very commendable. And I want to thank you for that. And I also want to encourage you to use this power that is being given to you, that you're actually winning, you're earning that power, and use it to inspire like all the little girls that come after you, because you are actually being given that power right now. And it just makes me very happy to know that we have someone like you in our community. And also, Coach, good job. I think that's also a reflection of the job that you're doing there. So thank you.
Great job. And we will also make sure to get your certificate delivered.
Hold on real quick before we end. I just wanted to say congratulations, Bell Gardens wrestling team. You guys know that I really, really appreciate you guys. And I have you guys in I hold you guys in a very high esteem. And I'm incredibly proud of all of the work that you guys all do, because I know that Catherine has to practice on somebody. And so, you know, for you guys, I'm kidding. And I'm so proud of you all. I know that the coaches have put in all of this work. And the reality is that this is brand new to Bell Gardens. So whatever has changed in the last couple of years, keep it and keep going at it, regardless of all of the noise that is made. Remember that you have to stay focused. Nothing worth having comes easy. If it was easy, everybody would have it. So what you guys are doing right now and everything you guys are dealing with, know that it's going to get better, and there's going to be hard days, but there's a huge light at the end of the tunnel. So keep fighting, keep working, and keep being the badass that you guys are, because that's what you guys are. And we are here to support you, and we have your guys' back. So whatever you guys need, you already know what to do. And with that, thank you so much, Mr. Miranda, for supporting them, because wrestling is an underrated sport that barely gets any light and doesn't get the esteem that they deserve. They work very long hours. They get a lot of weird stuff in their hands and bad ears. So I'm really, really proud of you guys. And thank you so much for Mr. Miranda, because I know that without his support, it'd be very difficult and you guys would have a lot of red tape to move forward. So congratulations to you guys all, and I'll see you guys soon.
Mayor.
Yes.
I just want to congratulate you also very quickly, Catherine. You're setting such an example for everyone in our community, right? Boys and girls alike. I also want to congratulate your team for standing behind you and being there with you, even though the accolades are not directly for them, but I think that shows a lot that they're there to support you. And the coaches, Coach Sebastian, you're doing an amazing job. I see you, fist pounding, the student right there. And that's amazing, because we're supposed to have these great relationships with our students. And that builds just a communication, a support that they may not be able to get at home. And that's just gonna make all the difference in the world as well. So just once again, congratulations. Hopefully we can bring you all to City Council chambers soon when we reopen, because this Zoom stuff, it just doesn't feel the same. But we did want to take the time to congratulate you now, and hopefully we'll be able to do something in the future just to celebrate all of you guys. And Principal Miranda, you have my number. And if you guys need anything, I think I can speak for the rest of council. We're here to support you as well.
Well, you guys are gonna have to make a lot of room on your agendas, because our plan is to be champions in every sport. That's the goal, and that's what we're moving towards.
That sounds great.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Once again, thank you very much. I truly do appreciate it. I think Mr. Chavez had something I think he was saying. Sorry about that.
The team just want to take a moment real quick to say thank you to you guys. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you, BG City Council. You guys ready?
Oh my God.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Our third presentation is a proclamation. The City of Bell Gardens would like to proclaim the month of March as Women's History Month. American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historical contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. American women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in every sphere of the life of the nation by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of the home. And because of that, we would like to proclaim the month of March as Women's History Month in Bell Gardens and encourage all citizens to celebrate, support, value, and respect all women. We have this proclamation, especially for Catherine. And we'll make sure that you get this proclamation as well, okay? Thank you so much. And to follow, we have a very special woman here in the city of Bell Gardens that has decided to retire, and we're very sad, but we're happy for her. So I'll read a certificate for her. Carmen Morales started her career in the City of Bell Gardens Community Development Department on October 14, 1992 as a city planner, also serving as an activity director throughout the years when needed. Her hard work and dedication to the city has been felt in the revitalization of the downtown and quality housing development that has arisen during her time, including very needed affordable senior housing developments. And Carmen has been key in educating the public and developers on the city's general plan and zoning code to ensure the city stays on track with all its goals, objectives, and as they pertain to the land use and housing. Carmen is admired by the community and her coworkers due to the diligence, positive attitude, and her knowledge. The City of Bell Gardens City Council hereby resolves to recognize Carmen for 29 years of dedicated service and acknowledge her as an exemplary employee and family member who will be missed tremendously. We wish you a very happy retirement. And we have a certificate for you right here. Thank you so much.
Mayor, members. Go ahead. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, and our public, I would like to just say a few words about our colleague, and then I'd like her to come up here and say a few words. You know, when somebody has been with a jurisdiction for almost 30 years, there's so much history that they've had, so much knowledge that they've gathered, so much that they've contributed to a jurisdiction like ours, that it's very difficult to say goodbye. You know, at the end of the day, Carmen is going to be missed so much as we go through our daily work. We're going to start seeing the things that we ultimately benefited from an employee like Carmen. You know, I've known Carmen for about 15 years now, and it's been my privilege to know this woman who is just a smiling face, courtesy. I mean, she's an exemplary employee, always here with the city. There's never been a time that I can say that Carmen has been off somewhere else and not been with the city of Bell Gardens. You know, she's going to be missed tremendously. And again, when you look at 30 years of service, you know, some of us can't even fathom that. You know, I've been with so many cities, you know, and I'm so glad that I'm here now with Bell Gardens, and hopefully we'll be able to continue for many years. But for somebody to continue for 30 years and give 30 years of their life to a community, that says a lot. You know, her dedication, her loyalty, you know, and also if the community was here, and I agree, it's so different through Zoom. I wish it could be in public. You would see so many people out here in the public, you know, just joining her and cheering on for her. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and have Carmen here and say a few words. Maybe she'll change her mind.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your kind words. Good evening, Mayor Pulido, Mayor Pro Tem Chavez, members of the City Council, Mike, the department heads and staff. I'm going to try to keep it together because this is very difficult for me. First of all, I would like to express my most sincere appreciation for this recognition tonight. I was just doing my job. But most of it, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to work and serve the city for 29 years. It's been an amazing experience for me. Bell Gardens is part of my life. And as such, I will treasure all the memories that I'm taking with me for the rest of my life. And I can't wait to see all of the things that Bell Gardens will do in the upcoming years under your leadership. when I was putting together some thoughts, one of the things came to mind was all the projects that I've been able to work on and that we've been able to accomplish together, both this city council as well as previous city councils. And those projects make me very proud to have been able to serve this community and have been able to make some positive changes in this community in the last 29 years. As you can imagine, deciding to retire wasn't an easy decision. I thought about it for quite a few years, and I've been talking to us for about 6 months now, and I keep moving the dates. It's really funny. I kept moving the dates, and I think George said, "Oh, she's gonna move the date, 2 or 3 times before the date is actually finalized." So it hasn't been an easy decision. I love this community. I love the people that I serve. I love the fact that people come to the counter and they know me, they trust me. I treat them as family, and they treat me as family. And so that's something that I would greatly miss. I love the people that I work with in the community development department. You have a great team in that department, people that work as a family. We help each other out, we support each other. And whenever there is a deadline, we're there together as a team and we make it come through. And I love the people that I work with in the city as a whole, all of the departments. There's not one time that I have called upon the Public Works Department or Recreation, city clerks, or the administration. No matter where I call the police department, there's always been there someone that is willing to help and make my job easier. So with that, although I'm looking forward to retirement, having some free time to enjoy myself, at least to say I'm going to miss this community. I'm going to miss Bell Gardens, coming here Monday through Thursday, answering phone calls from Gus or from anybody else. I will miss that. And I want to thank you very much for allowing me to be part of this community for so many years. Like I said, I take with me a tremendous amount of memories, friendships that will last a lifetime and that I will treasure forever. Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I may, I wanted to add something.
Any comments from my colleagues?
Yes, I'd like to add something.
Yes.
Just to, Carmen, I'm gonna talk like you weren't here because that'd be easier for me. So for me, Carmen Morales, you see someone who's dedicated herself to her work her whole life. She's fought to hold the position that she holds today. Her career began when women were not welcome in this field. Maternity leave wasn't even intact yet. She didn't have the laws to protect her the way she has them today. She jumped many barriers and she shattered glass ceilings. And I can't imagine what it was like for you to be then starting in the male-dominated position that you are today. I know today we go to conferences that you still will stick out as one of the only Latina women there. So congratulations and thank you. Thank you for giving us those 30 years. Thank you for opening up a door and creating a pathway for other women to follow. And you know, Carmen, when I got elected, obviously there's no training for council members. They just kind of like throw you in like, hey, good luck. This is what you wanted. Best of luck. Hope you do a good job. The only training that I remember was when you walked me through the community development department and kind of gave me an idea and showed me some paperwork and lists and what people did. And I will forever cherish that you were the first one and the only one to lend a hand and want to help me succeed. So thank you, Carmen. I wish you the best of luck. And Bell Gardens is forever your home. Whenever you want, you come back, girl. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor Pulido, if I may.
Oh, go ahead. Women first.
Oh, go for it, Alejandra.
I just want to thank you, Carmen, for all the years that you have given our city. Goodbyes are hard, but we know that a better face in your life, or better stage in your life is to come for you. So we wish you all the success in the world. But thank you so much for all the time and dedication that you gave to the city of Bell Gardens. And like Lisette mentioned, well, this part I'm adding, if you get bored and you want to come back to us, we'll welcome you with open hands, open arms. We'll miss you and good luck. Mayor Pro Tem?
Okay. Briefly, thank you so much, Carmen, for all your time, your dedication to our community of Bell Gardens for close to 30 years, 29, 30 years. I had the honor to work with Carmen when I was on the planning commission. I still remember when I got my training with her and with Mark, Mark Tran, who was also there. And I was trying to get the hang of how the planning commission exactly worked and what was zoning, what was, all that I had to learn. And I remember she was there to help me and assist me through that process. In the comment that you just gave right now, when you described your journey here in Bell Gardens, and just you were mentioning the countless projects that you worked on, I could just imagine the amount of history that you've seen when the city has grown to what it's become now, right? The amount of different councils that you got to work with, the amount of different directors, the amount of different city managers. I can imagine how much change you've seen the city of Bell Gardens go through. I love it when you said that, you treat our community like family and they treat you like family back. I think that for me, as a council member, as a mayor pro tem, as a member of this council, that's what I value a lot. When our own staff can really value the community, right? Ese amor, esa pasión, ese desire to serve our community of Bell Gardens, because that's why we're all here. So you're a role model to other employees and other staff members here in the city. And I just want to say thank you for all the work that you put into our great city. And from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of the hearts of all of our residents, we appreciate all the time you've given us. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Carmen, I just want to thank you for all of the years that you dedicated to the city of Bell Gardens. I want to share a little bit of my experience because I did get to work in the same building as Carmen for, I think it was like about a year or year and a half. And one of the things that I remember is that Carmen was always in a good mood. She was also very energized and very professional, very courteous when residents would come up to the counter. Personally, she would always ask me how I was doing. She actually knew my father from the times that he was a commissioner, and she would always ask me how my dad was doing. So Carmen is a person that truly cared about our community. She truly cares about our community still, but I am a little bit saddened that she has to go. But I know that we will always keep our best memories of her, and she's always welcome to come back and visit. And I can sit here and talk about all the great things about Carmen, but one of the biggest proofs that Carmen has been such a great employee is the fact that her colleagues are here and that they're here showing their support and their appreciation of her. And I'm very happy to see that type of energy coming from your department, Carmen, and I know that you had a lot to do with that. So thank you for all the years that you dedicated to the city of Bell Gardens, Carmen. Really, really appreciate it.
Carmen, I learned about your retirement from a mutual friend of ours a couple of weeks ago. I was catching up with Phil, and he told me, "Have you heard that Carmen is retiring?" I'm like, "No." I was shocked, but I didn't realize, and I confirmed that you have been in our community for such a long time, 29 years, and you have developed relationships with people that are no longer here, but really treasure you because they acknowledge that you're such a great person, such a smart woman, and someone who dedicated such a long time. I mean, Jorge was probably, he was not in existence yet.
Well, I was not.
He was not. And you were already here.
I don't think Alejandra was in existence either, so I'm not the only one.
Well, she was closer in existence than Jorge.
Perhaps.
And it takes so much commitment from someone to stay in, not only in the city for such a long time, but just in the role, in the department, in the family. So thank you so much. Thank you to your family for allowing us to have you as part of our community and for sharing you with us for such a long time. I'm a little bit jealous of them because now they have you full time and they're gonna spend amazing memories with you. Please visit us. We have projects that you started that will be completed soon, and please come back so that you can see them be completed. And yes, if you decide that retirement is not for you and you want to give us another 29 years, we'll be ready for you to come back. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yay. We will now move to the next item on the agenda. Public participation is now open for items not listed on the agenda. Sorry, for items listed on the agenda. City Clerk, will you please announce the instructions for public participation?
Yes, Mayor Polito. There are 0 written comments that were submitted. No comments were submitted, written comments. The members of the public will not have the opportunity to speak on items listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the City Council. Each speaker and written comment is limited to 3 minutes. Written comments will be read out loud after all speakers have been heard. Anyone wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by pressing *9. When instructed, press *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through the Zoom app may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature on Zoom. I do not have any raised hands. There are no written comments submitted, so this part of the public participation can be closed.
If there's no objection by the City Council, I will close public participation. City Manager, will you please give your report?
Thank you, Mayor Polito. I'd just like to thank again, I know Carmen just walked out. When I arrived here at the City of Bell Gardens almost 3 years ago, we did not have a community development director, and Carmen was the acting director, was very helpful to me, very available at a critical point in time for me and for the city. So I know she's not here, but I just want to make sure she knows and publicly state just that I'm very appreciative. She's somebody that, you know, when I hear the name Carmen, I think that's somebody that has come through in spades. And so I'll remember that for decades. So thank you, Carmen. Thanks for all your service and specifically for the help that you gave me as well a few years ago. Also, I'd like to thank the Rent Control Ad Hoc Committee, the staff, the participants at this weekend's second well-attended Rent Control Ad Hoc Committee public workshop. So there's a lot of time and energy that's gone into this committee from all the participants and from the staff members. This was about a 2.5-hour meeting on a Saturday. And so I think that just shows the level of effort from the committee and from the staff in really listening to what everybody has to say. I'd like to remind everybody that we still have vaccination clinics, boosters, and testing available at Veterans Park. I know it seems like COVID is subsiding, and that's, you know, so 2021. But this is just as good a time as any to consider those options. The lines won't be as long, and to help protect yourself in case there are any future variants that come out. And with springtime upon us and COVID subsiding, you'll start seeing that we'll start to have events again, outdoor events, indoor events, and things that we haven't been able to have over the last few years due to COVID and the various variants. So keep an eye on the calendars and the social media. Lastly and briefly, I just want to say thank you to the council for allowing me to continue to work for you, for your community, your businesses, your stakeholders, and the employees of the City of Bell Garden. Somewhat unexpected, but I have to say I'm really excited for all of the hard work ahead. And just thank you again for the support and for the opportunity. Thank you, Mayor.
We will now move to the consent calendar. Does any member of the City Council wish to pull an item for separate discussion? May I have a motion to approve items numbers 1 through 8 on the
I'll go
consent
ahead,
calendar?
motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. City Clerk, will you please conduct roll call vote?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmembers Barcena,
Yes.
Cortez,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez,
Yes.
and Mayor Polito.
Yes. City Manager, will you please announce discussion item number 9?
Yes, thanks again, Mayor Polito. This item, I'd like to distinguish this item from item number 7 on the consent calendar. So the City Council just approved the resolution that allows for the conduct of these meetings via teleconferencing. Members of the public can join the meeting through teleconference, can give public comment. What this discussion item number 9 seeks to do is get direction from the council regarding opening the chambers back to the public. And so while members, as I stated, can participate in the meetings currently through teleconference, whether that's video or phone, there's been a request from council members to consider opening the chambers back up again. And so before I turn it over to the city clerk for a few comments, I think a lot of this is self-evident here. Staff has obviously been committed to operating the city in a safe COVID environment. We've had to close City Hall for a period of time. We've been able to reopen it. We've had to close services or stop services. And so this is something that staff ultimately thinks we can create a safe environment for residents to join in these meetings, if so desired by the council. I'll go ahead and turn over to the clerk if she wants to add a few words, but I think at that point it'd be really discussion and direction from the council. Please, Jane, if you can say a few words.
Thank you, City Manager. I wrote this staff report and uncovered that the Los Angeles County guidelines regarding COVID-19, they say that it spreads more quickly in closed environments. For instance, close contact with people talking together. As of March 4th, the Los Angeles County lifted its mask requirement. However, masks are still strongly recommended in indoor settings. The revised guidelines state that they're required in indoor settings, such as for high-risk areas, such as public transit, your trains, buses, healthcare settings like your hospitals, your dentist's office, correctional facilities, of course, detention centers, homeless shelters, and emergency shelters. Currently, Bell Garden City Council meetings are conducted in the council chambers and close to the public to minimize the transmission of COVID. The public's participation, of course, is always encouraged, and we do that through Zoom. We do that through making sure that we take their comments, written comments. If they email us comments, we should make sure that they're aware that we're going to read them during the council meeting. So the city council has taken appropriate measures to basically keep the community safe within the health guidelines. So I'm available if you have any questions.
Are there any questions from the city council?
If I may.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Kelly, for bringing this item. I think it was me that last meeting I had requested it to be brought back to our council, and I'm glad to see that it is back. So I hope that we can take it upon ourselves and hopefully allow the public back into the council chamber. Yeah, that should be it for my comments. Thank you.
At this time, is there a motion?
I would like to ask for clarification from the city clerk. City clerk, did you say that was it the opinion of staff that it's safer to continue with the current guidelines and not having people inside City Hall? it was a little bit unclear for me.
Well, I think we followed the state and the county guidelines as far as keeping safe staff, keeping staff safe.
So, Councilmember Parson, if I could even add, I think we're acknowledging that not having more people than less people is it's obviously more safer, presents more risk. So I think my statements prior to the city clerk are acknowledging that there's more risk in having more people in a closed space. We believe that if it's a council's direction that we can open the chambers, but in a safe environment, in a safe manner. So what we do is look at all the guidelines that are in existence at that time, and then adjust as the meetings are going on, as the COVID cases are rising or falling. But I think the short answer is we definitely recognize that having people in this room presents some risk, but that we also recognize that there's value to having people attending in person, and we believe that we can mitigate that risk.
Thank you. I do have a comment. I just want to say that I appreciate this item being brought here too. And I also appreciate the honesty in regards to where we're at with the pandemic. I keep seeing reports that, you know, we're basically almost caught up in a loop where cases keep going up and then going down and then going up. So I am concerned about the safety of the public and staff. I mean, I just put on my mask right now when I was listening to the city clerk's report, just because it made me more aware. We do have these plastic dividers here in the council currently, so we're doing everything we can to be safe. But hey, we're still in a pandemic, so you know, perhaps if our goal is to increase participation with our community, hey, maybe it's not the best choice right now to reopen it to the public, but maybe we can look at other ways of promoting the opportunity for public comment in our meetings via online social media outlets. Perhaps we can do a flyer. We can encourage people to submit their public comment. You know, there's always a way to accomplish things if it's not the most ideal or safe situation to get it done. So I just want to say that maybe we can put a flyer together and put it out there, promoting the council meeting in a more approachable manner. I know that, you know, a lot of people are intimidated by the council meetings. They don't really know how to submit their comment. So just a few thoughts. I don't know if my colleagues have any comments in regards to that, but.
Mayor Polito, if I may.
Sure.
I really appreciate Councilmember Barcena's comment in regards to potential adaptations that we could take without opening the council chamber. I say we do those suggestions that Councilmember Barcena just mentioned, while at the same time also opening the council chamber, right? You know, I think in regards to safety, I think staff indicated clearly that they can, we can definitely mitigate impacts when it comes to whether it's 6 feet distancing, masks, hand sanitizer, you name it. I think we have quite a few masks, and we've actually been giving them out to the public at all our public facilities here throughout the city. You know, I feel comfortable, you know, potentially making a motion and saying that, you know, we decide to open the council chamber and then have staff reevaluate based on future health guidelines in regards to the pandemic. So yeah, that's my motion.
Mayor? Sure. I would like to agree with Councilmember Barcena about being a little bit more cautious. Students are about to go on spring break, which means our families are about to go on spring break. So that's something that we need to be cautious about. Not for myself per se, but for our staff that is here every single day. So I would like to be just extra cautious about that. And maybe even wait for our students to come back from spring break and for them to get tested and then reopening at that point.
May I have a motion?
So I believe,
Say
I'm
something.
sorry, I believe Councilmember Flores, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand that we're slowly approaching a place where it's going to be safer for us to welcome the general public into our council chambers. I just feel like I've mentioned before we do that, we should establish a plan in how we're going to do that, because I know that certain mandates will soon drop, some might not. We have to know where we fall, whether the state or the county, and so on and so forth. And then I don't think from just like that, we should open it and fill it up, right? Because it just doesn't seem but so it's safe. So I feel like we should create a plan and then revisit this topic. But I would love to see our residents back in the chambers, but not prior to creating a plan that's safe and that we can feel comfortable as council members saying that we did this, after having done our due diligence.
So I was going to, Madam Mayor, if I may, but I was going to second Mr. Chavez, Mayor Pro Tem's motion. However, I'm thinking, because I see some interest from our council members to continue to explore this, farther. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to, can you guys hear me? Yes. Make a motion to bring it back to the next council meeting with some sort of preliminary plan, while also working on that outreach effort that encourages people to become involved in council meetings, just a simple flyer promoting our public comment. So that is my motion.
I'll second that motion.
City Clerk, will you please conduct roll call vote?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmembers Marcena,
Yes.
Flores, Cortez,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez,
Yes.
and Mayor Polito.
Yes. City Manager, will you please announce discussion item number 10?
Yes, thanks again, Mayor Polito. This next item is to seek direction on whether to move forward with a feasibility study for a municipal citywide Wi-Fi project. So just as a reminder, about a year and a half ago, the City Council had appropriated funds for a Wi-Fi project for 6 city sites. And this would be so that students, seniors could use free Wi-Fi to do homework, to conduct basic tasks, etc. That project was successful. It was funded by the city. During that time, and since that time, there's been some discussion about a citywide Wi-Fi project, and you'll hear this at presentations, at conferences. You hear the terms, bridging the digital divide and smart cities, and that's what this is talking about here. What's really kind of pushing this forward are a couple of things. One of them, being a finance person, is that there may be some funding sources that didn't exist before. But there are a number of other things as well. So what I'll do is turn it over to a presentation from LANWAN, our internet service provider. Rami is going to talk about the proposed feasibility study. And just to be clear, what a feasibility study is somewhat low cost as a percentage of the project, and takes a look to see what would it actually take to have a citywide Wi-Fi infrastructure. They look at all the poles, they look at all the utilities, etc. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Rami for the presentation.
Thank you, City Manager. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen first. Are you able to see my full screen?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. Well, good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, city manager, and the residents of the beautiful city of the Gardens. You probably all know me. My name is Rami Dababne. I'm the Executive VP for LANWAN Enterprise. I would like to thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about a really interesting topic, citywide Wi-Fi and smart city and closing the digital divide, as the city manager said. Those are some topics that's been talked about for a while. I'll try to keep it short. I was asked to keep it short, so I'll do my best. So what is a smart city? It's been defined differently by organizations and agencies. It's actually a city that uses information and communication technology to enhance enhance its livability, workability, and sustainability. Other agencies use smart technologies or what's called Internet of Things or IoT. The outcome of this technology will definitely be impactful on the quality of lives for the Bill Gardens citizens and the performance of urban services and the environmental sustainability. As you probably know, around 30% of Bill Gardens residents don't have internet connection at their homes. And that's a big deal. And I'm sure you're concerned and aware of that. So this study will be important to shed some light on the possibilities of making a difference for Bill Gardens residents. So no matter how we look at it, if someone asks you or tell you, okay, we need to actually build a smart city, any smart city has a core functions of 3 different phases. Phase number 1, which has to be done first, is the physical infrastructure. Physical infrastructure means pretty much you're covering the entire city with Wi-Fi. And that allows you to actually have all the residents to have access to internet free of charge. And when I say physical, I mean we have to tap into the light poles. We have to install some monopoles in certain areas so we could be able to connect all the backhauls together. So basically cover the entire city with pretty much Wi-Fi. Number 2, which actually what defines smart city, is a digital infrastructure, which means enable all the different IoT applications to benefit the residents of the city, which I'll go through kind of some of the applications that is out there. Obviously, the community is what we need for them to use that service. So what are the drivers for the smart city? So why do we need really smart cities? We're in the age of urbanization. More than half of the population lives in cities. Rapidly improving technology capacities is combined with declining costs, which is actually really a big deal now, because if we've introduced this 5 years ago, probably the cost would probably be double after we finish the study. So, I think this is a great timing to be able to do it. And what the city manager said, there's actually some funding out there that we could be able to work hard to actually get for Bill Gardens. The first actor in this project to be able to make it happen is the private sectors. All the big tech companies who have the knowledge and capacity to implement information communication systems in cities. All the big companies that do have the access points and the wireless routers and the point-to-point wireless access points. Those are companies that are capable of actually implementing those type of solutions and be able to leverage our service as well to be able to design this whole solution for Bill Gardens. It's also important that your role is also extremely important to be able to, approve this project, because without you, we won't be able to do so. Our goal this study is to avoid piecemeal approach. This is one of the things that we've done for Bill Gardens since day one. Every time that we have any investments that the city make, we don't piecemeal any approach. We make it for long-term solutions. So we would like to have a more comprehensive solution that could respond to different needs and can play a significant role in engage citizens in the decision-making process as well. So this is just kind of give you an example of the physical infrastructure. So this is an example of a city that we're doing the actual study for. This city, this shows you something called a heat map. If you look at the left side, those little small dots are actually placement for access points that needed to be installed on those light poles in order to provide a high coverage for the residential area. And as you can see on the picture on the right, you'll see that little white access point. That's actually what's going to provide the wireless to the residents. So every single green dot you see on the heat map represents an access point. In order to do that, obviously, we need to build or maybe leverage some of the existing infrastructure. As I mentioned, we could install monopoles ourselves. We could also leverage some of the existing towers that we have. But most of the network in Bill Gardens is flat, so we could be able to leverage what we call a mesh network. One of the things that we could also include in the study is providing a Wi-Fi kiosk in downtown Bill Gardens to provide Wi-Fi in the area around those kiosks. If you look at the right side, those are something that we could be able to definitely implement. Those are kind of the things that we could be able to leverage by just having Wi-Fi across the whole city. This gives you an example of once we have Wi-Fi for the whole city, this is some of the applications that we could be able to leverage. So if you look at camera with video analysis, if you see environmental sensors, if you see video analytics, those are all applications that we could be able to implement once we have a Wi-Fi connection. EV charger metering as well, since we're going to tap into the power on those poles. This gives you an example here of some of the applications that once the Wi-Fi is already implemented as phase one, this is all the possibilities of adding those type of solutions for the city. I'll give you an example: gunshot detection to keep the city safe. It could detect whether this is a firework or this is an actual gunshot. Actually, some of the sensors does tell you the type of the gun based on the actual gunshot. Smart lighting is one of the sensors as well that we could use, where it could reduce energy by turning on, turning off the light poles, not based on a timer that we have right now. It's based on the darkness of the street or of the area. Smart parking, which is a problem that Bill Gardens has, is which I'll go through that slide in a little bit, which really allows residents to open the mobile app, which is something that we're presenting as part of the solution, is to have one Bill Gardens app for all the Bill Gardens City Hall services and the Wi-Fi and all the applications that I have on this slide. One-stop application for all the services. So smart parking, where you click on the app and you're able to put your destination, and based on the destination, you'll be able to tell where is the actual slots available as far as parking. So in that way, you don't have to keep looking all over the place, especially in neighborhoods that really have issues in parking, which Bill Gardens does have that. Air quality monitoring, traffic optimization. There's so many different applications that we could add once phase one is completed. This is an example of having a camera that detects all the parking structure and tells you about. It could tell you through the app what available parking available that you could be able to get to through a GPS without actually looking around the whole neighborhood. GIS augmenting reality. This would save so much time and money for public works and third-party contractors to actually be able to build or upgrade the infrastructure for the city. There's so many different applications. It's limitless. I could go through this slide, through different slides to talk about all the application, but there's so many of them. That's the street lamps as well. The new ones are actually new cameras with facial recognition, where they could detect suspects by recognizing their faces, even if they have a hoodie on or even if they have masks on. So the possibility are limitless. What we're proposing here today is allow us to actually do a feasibility study, which includes the outcome of it will include a design that has a complete wireless heat map for the entire city, and also will include the solutions and the applications that we could include in that study to make Bill Gardens as a smart city, obviously by providing free public Wi-Fi for all the Bill Gardens residents. Also, one of the most important thing, if not the most important thing, is funding sources. So we're working with consultants that do really understand the infrastructure bill, which is something that I think we're depending highly on. It's $1 trillion that has been approved by the government to be used for infrastructure, which internet broadband is under the umbrella of infrastructure, is to be able to leverage that before the money runs out. And I truly mean that, because a lot of organizations are trying to work hard to actually use that money for their cities for different type of projects. And before the money runs out, we're trying the best we can to be like, first come, first serve to secure that money for the city of Bill Gardens. So if we could be able to do all this without paying any money from the general fund, that's a no-brainer in my opinion. Also, taking that consideration also in constructing a fiber network in the city, not in all the residential areas, because we don't want to trench in all the streets, but in some of the hubs that we could leverage. Those are the hubs that we will use to spread the Wi-Fi for the residents. And also, obviously, we'll do the project timeline in phases, and also the project cost as well. So that includes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
I just want to say thank you so much, Romney, for this presentation. As you may or may not know, I'm currently in DC for the NLC conference, and today I took a course about closing the digital divide. And as you may or may not know, this is something that's really important to me, and I'm sure to everybody else, because if COVID taught us something, is that without technology, we are nothing. I mean, I'm literally in Washington, DC in a conference call with you because technology is able to make that possible for us. Now, at the beginning of the pandemic, schools were giving out different sort of devices so that kids can be in class, right? And it's very unfortunate that we had to just learn from that, right? And with this bill, the infrastructure bill that you're talking about, you're absolutely correct. There's actually an amazing little vague verbiage sentence that is that we're able to apply for this for. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm in full support about closing our digital divide. I know that we have the blueprints right here in front of us for a smart city, and we can definitely do it. I had conversations with Verizon in the past, but why go through somebody else? It's going to be way more expensive when we have our own company here. It's very, very, it makes sense in simple terms. So thank you. I'm in full support of this.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Hi, Rami, and thank you for your presentation. It was very well put together. I
Thank you.
wanted to ask the amount that is required for the study, or actually, let me rephrase that. Is a study necessary in order for us to start looking for funding sources?
Yeah, so Council Martin, thanks for your question. The study is not to look for funding sources. The study is actually a feasibility study that puts you in virtual reality of how would Bill Gardens be if the project is completed. It will give you access to the coverage in the area. We'll have a full heat map of the areas that we can cover, the areas that we cannot cover. So we can have a team that will be actually driving around and taking pictures and taking 3D videos and plug that into our Google Maps and be able to give you a full coverage of the entire city. Number two is we'll give you access, or we'll let you know what would be the actual speed expected per household. We'll also give you, as part of the report, tell you about the applications that we can include in that study. For example, a camera system. We don't have a good camera system in the city right now, and it's only in some of the parks. So I think adding that into the study is important. To be able to do all that, we need to include our wireless engineering team to do that study. So we're not one of the things that we'll do on the side, which is I'll be working with consultants, is to actually see how we're going to be able to secure the money. But most of the work that we will do is an actual technical work. And just so you know, feasibility studies for citywide Wi-Fi, it's folds. It's probably over $60,000. We try to make it as low as possible just to cover our cost, just to keep it as low as possible, because we don't want the city to spend money on the study. But the thing is, if I'm super excited for this. You have no idea. I really feel like Bill Gardens do need this badly, knowing that you have 25 to 30% of households don't have internet. As a matter of fact, it got me really emotional. I've seen a picture of two girls sitting outside of Starbucks that was last year, trying to do their homework outside. It got me extremely emotional. I'm like, okay, we have to find a solution for this problem. And then after the infrastructure bill came out and approved, been working so hard trying to find the right team to be able to actually secure funds for cities that we work with, because we know that they deserve it. So to answer the question, it's not just finding the fund, it's actually building the entire feasibility study and show you in virtual reality how would it look like if we decide to actually do it.
And Rami,
Thank you, Rami.
can-
I'm sorry, City Manager. Please allow me to clarify the question. So the question was, do we need the study in order to find funding sources? So what I mean by that is, will having the study already done make it easier for us to find funding sources? And I open this up also to the city manager in case he's looked into that,
Yeah.
But that was the
Well,
scope of the question.
I think I understand the question. So in order for us to know the cost that we need to acquire from the government for the infrastructure bill, we need to give an exact number, or at least a plus minus 5% of what would be the cost to actually do this project. And there's so many variables that plays in role, from having Edison involved and Public Works and having our construction team. And so the government will ask us how much money you need, and they're gonna ask us for, why, what do you need it for? So we have to have, for cost purposes, and also show them and prove that we're actually one step ahead, that we already did the work. And this is justifications of why we need the money.
Thank you.
Sorry, Rami, how long would the study take?
It will take about 3 months.
And the study would cost how much again?
17,000.
17. Okay. Like Council Member Flores mentioned, also Council Member Barcena, I think that during the pandemic, we did realize that how important Wi-Fi is, especially for our community. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a household where we always had Wi-Fi and where we had high-speed internet. So whenever I was doing homework, I always had that as a resource. And I never actually thought about, selfishly speaking, I never thought about other people not having the same access that I had, until the pandemic happened and my little sister's friends were suddenly visiting more often, considering that we had to socially distance and be careful. She had friends coming in visiting because although they did have hotspots that were provided by the school district, the speed of the internet wasn't as fast. So they would visit and do the homework together and then go back home. I know that we've discussed this as a possibility for a while, and I'm very excited to learn that there may be funding available that we can bring into the city and improve the quality of life of not only our kids, but also our seniors. And also in regards to crime, you mentioned different areas that we can partner up with our police department, and I think that's something that we would also would want to explore. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor.
I do have one more question, Mayor, if I may. So I heard about this particular effort a while ago, and I'm all for, bridging that divide, especially in communities like Bell Gardens. However, in the past, when I discussed this with staff, I was told that that the money that was being looked at as far as a potential funding source was money that was allocated for cities such as Bell Gardens, that we, and correct me if I'm wrong, City Manager, that we had already earmarked for other purposes. Therefore, we would have to kind of like re-designate that money. However, what I'm hearing now is that we have, that there's other potential sources specifically for this, right? Is that correct?
So Councilmember Barcena, So when this has been discussed, and you will hear this discussed at other conferences, I would not be surprised if Councilmember Flores probably heard this today. Many cities have ARPA money, that's the federal COVID money. The city of Bell Gardens received about $10 million of ARPA money. We're a little bit unique compared to the majority of cities in that we actually have one large revenue source, being a casino that was completely shut down for about 10 months. And so one of the primary purpose of this ARPA COVID money wasn't just to give cities more money to spend on new projects. It was to backfill the revenues that were anticipated to be lost due to COVID. A lot of cities, I think, probably didn't experience the revenue loss that was anticipated when those ARPA monies were approved. Our city did, though, of course, because of the single large revenue source. And I think that's the case for other cities that have very single large revenue sources. And so what you hear a lot of discussion about is using those monies for this type of a project. And that's originally what was kind of being discussed, but all the money in the city of Bell Gardens was used to backfill all the money we lost due to the casino being closed for 8 to 12 months. And so what's different today is that there is federal infrastructure monies out there that may be available. And obviously, when you talk infrastructure, this is Rami's presentation was about infrastructure essentially. So there is a new funding source. So I hope that clarifies it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Mike, just to add to that, today I did learn that the infrastructure bill has a very vague sentence that specifically says broadband infrastructure. And that's why we're able to use these monies for digital inclusion.
Mayor Polito, the item specifically says receive and file, but we'd also seek direction for approval to move forward with this feasibility study, please.
At this time, may I have a motion?
I'll go ahead and motion.
I'll second Flores' motion.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. City Clerk, will you please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Barcena,
Yes.
Cortez,
Yes.
Flores,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez,
Yes.
and Mayor Polito.
Yes. City Manager, will you please announce discussion item number 11?
Thanks again, Mayor Polito. This item is a discuss and file item and also contains an approval component. It's our mid-year budget review. We're a little bit about 7 months into the current fiscal year, which is FY 21-22. Our Administrative Services Director, Manuel Carrillo, has a presentation, but I'll just real quick answer a question that generally gets asked throughout my career when it comes to finances, and that, how are things looking? The right answer happens to be the answer that we have. They're looking as they're supposed to look. So the budget that was put together, that was reviewed by the City Council and approved by the City Council, the actuals are coming in right where they would be expected to be, and also any adjustments that have been approved by the council throughout the fiscal year have been included as well. And so everything looks, it never looks great, but it looks like it's supposed to look. And so with that, I will turn it over to Director Carrillo. Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Mayor Pulido, Mayor Pro Tem Chavez, Council Members Flores, Cortez, and Barcena. This evening, I'll be providing an overview of the fiscal year 2022 mid-year budget. I'll do my very best to be concise and to the point and not ramble on with anything. So we'll begin here. Oh, there we go. Okay, we'll begin by looking into the operational activities of the Bicycle Casino, particularly the closures experienced over the course of the previous 2 fiscal years because of the COVID pandemic, which of course affected our region significantly. As you can see in this slide, the Bicycle Casino experienced significant closures in fiscal year 1920 and 2021. And on a positive note, we have fortunately seen no closures in the current fiscal year 21-22, despite experiencing significant spikes in the COVID cases regionally because of the Omicron variant. Up next, we have with this slide, excuse me, just my notes here. To provide some clarity, the reason that we place such an emphasis on the bicycle casinos activities is because of a significant component of the city's operating revenue. And of course, this revenue source is estimated to be about 50% of the city's overall operating revenue. As we mentioned in the previous slides, the closures experienced in 1920 and 2021 resulted in significant losses never before seen. If we take a look at the table on the right, you'll see that the city of Bell Gardens experienced an estimated loss of $3 million in casino revenue for fiscal year 1920 and an estimated loss of $7.6 million in revenue for fiscal year 2021, bringing a total estimated loss of $10.6 million over the course of that 2-year time period. Now, as you recall, and as the city manager mentioned, ending of 2021, the federal government allocated American Recovery Plan Act funds, or ARPA funds, to municipalities across the country. The city of Bell Gardens was officially allocated approximately $10 million to be distributed equally over a 2-year period in fiscal year 20 and 21. And these funds, of course, are utilized to address the losses of revenue experienced because of the COVID pandemic. I would also like to provide a brief historical perspective on recent highs and lows experienced as it relates to the casino revenue. As you can see, as the lower portion of the screen, it reached a record high of 14.3 million in fiscal year 18-19. We are actually projecting an all-time high of 14.6 million at the end of the current 21-22 fiscal year. Now, this is attributed to the casino operating at full capacity, as well as strong revenue reporting up to this point in the fiscal year. To provide an example of the all-time low, which was 6.7 million in fiscal year 2021, which is of course because of the significant losses due to the COVID closures. Our next slide, here we have a look back at our adopted general fund budget for fiscal year 2021. In June of 21, we adopted a general fund budget, which projected revenues of $42,279,000 and expenditures of $35,058,000, which would lead us to a projected surplus or fund balance of $7,221,000. Now, budgeted revenues were up by 14.6 million compared to the previous year, of course, primarily due to increased ARPA federal funds, increases in add-on sales tax, state rent relief programs, as well as sales and use tax. Budgeted expenditures were up by 4.24 million compared to the prior year. Now, this is due primarily to increases in personnel services, contractual services, capital outlays, and departmental supplies. Here we have our revised budget figures for fiscal year 21-22. As previously mentioned, we had originally adopted revenues at 42,279,000 and expenditures at 35,058,000, with a projected fund balance of 7,221,000. Through June 30th of 22, we are projecting a revised forecasted revenue of 42,617,000, which is a projected increase of 338,000. We're also projecting forecasted expenditures of 35,975,000, which is a projected increase of 971,000. Now, as a result of these forecasted changes, we are projecting a slight reduction in the fund balance at 6/30/2022 from the originally adopted 7,221,000 to an updated 6,642,000. And below you'll see the illustration showing the changes in fund balance in recent history. On this slide, we look a bit more at the details surrounding the revenue projections through June 30th of 22. As mentioned previously, revenues are forecasted to increase by 338,000 over the originally adopted amount. This is primarily driven by increases in categories such as the bicycle club fees, motor vehicle in lieu, refunds and reimbursements, as well as the state rental programs. On this slide, we look at some of the categories that make up the increases in expenditure projections through June 30th of 22. As previously mentioned, expenditures are forecasted to be 917,000 more at 6/30/22 than originally adopted budget. We will look at some of these items in greater detail on the next slide. This slide addresses the increases in various categories that make up the forecasted 970,000 increase in expenditures. This includes increases in categories such as personnel costs. One of the key components being the increase as a result of the additional payouts pertaining to the new labor negotiation MOUs being reached with the various labor groups throughout the city. And items that, of course, an item that was not budgeted as part of the previous year's budget preparation, but was just recently adopted in this current fiscal year. Other categories include increases in maintenance and supplies, capital outlays. Of course, another significant category is that capital outlays, which have been approved by council throughout the year. These include the prefabricated restroom improvements, as well as other public works and facility improvements around the city. Our next slide, this slide focuses on increases / additional appropriations associated with non-general funds. The most significant being proposed increases as it relates to increased costs due to water purchases. Another being community development expenses associated with CDBG and COVID-related programs.
Manuel, if I can stop you and go back to that slide.
Sure, no problem.
So when looking at the city's overall financial condition, and then looking at the general fund financial condition, just reminding the council that the situation that we have with the water fund is one that's of utmost importance. It's one that we're continuing to work on, but you see this $924,000. What you're getting for that, from a sales side of things is the cleanest water that can be provided to the residents that are in the city's water system. It obviously comes at a cost. In the interim, we're looking at ways of cleaning the water well that we previously used. It's much less costly to pump water than it is to purchase water, surface water that comes from a water purveyor. The increased cost, though, you're seeing here is being absorbed, and it's a significant amount, $924,000. So we continue working on that as a priority so that we can provide clean water and also bring that cost down.
Thank you. Our next slide focuses on the ongoing capital projects that are budgeted and are carried forward from the previous fiscal year 2021. These focus on various capital improvement projects associated primarily with public works, and which of course the capital improvement fund, street projects, and the Ford Park aquatic projects. Additionally, you'll see below the inclusion of the additional appropriations expenses approved by council as of 10/11/21 for the Cycle 8 intersection improvement projects. And this slide shows the projected fund balance at 6/30/22. Of course, this consists of taking the fund balance at the end of the 2021 fiscal year, which was $22,478,000, and adding the projected change in fund balance at 6/30/22 of $6,642,000, which leaves us at a projected $29,120,000 at 6/30/2022. This slide highlights some of the key areas of focus and continued fiscal monitoring as we continue to move towards the end of the fiscal year and towards the preparation and formulation of the budget for 22-23. Some of the main areas of concentration, of course, are the federal relief funds, which will be received at the end of 21-22. Casino revenue, as indicated, we're projecting a record high of $14.6 million. Which is $200,000 above the originally adopted amount. And of course, there is an ownership change which is expected to be completed by the end of the fiscal year, and we are not expecting any disruptions in revenue as a result of that. As the city manager indicated, of course, the costs associated with the increased water purchases as a result of the well. And then finally, the development impact fees, which of course our city staff is currently working on developing an impact fee process to help recover public costs for the development of some projects. And of course, the fees would offset the cost of facilities related to the development itself. And just to finalize, over the course of the next 4 months or so, the finance department staff will be working closely with the various city departments, staff council to prepare budgets for the next fiscal year 22-23. This will include a series of meetings, workshops, and information sessions to identify departmental needs, objectives, and finally to prepare a comprehensive budget that addresses the city's goals. Here are some tentative dates. Finance Department will, of course, reach out to the respective parties to schedule these meetings as they approach over the next few months or so. And that is the presentation. I just wanted to conclude by thanking our Finance Department staff for their hard work, and particularly our accounting manager, Remo Hansen, for helping to put so much of this information together. And I would like to thank everyone and the opportunity to present this evening. And if there's any questions, please feel free to ask. That does conclude the presentation.
Does any member of the city council have any questions or comments? Okay, may I have a motion?
I'll go ahead and motion.
May I have a second?
Cortez seconds.
We have a motion and a second. City clerk, will you please conduct roll call vote?
Yes, Mayor. Council members Sparcena,
Yes.
Cortez,
Yes.
Flores.
Yes, sorry.
Flores? Okay, sorry. Mayor Pro Tem Chavez
Yes.
and Mayor Polito.
Yes. Before we move on to public participation, we will take a 15-minute break and reconvene at 8:10. We will now move to the next item on the agenda. Public participation is now open for items not listed on the agenda. City clerk, please announce the instructions for the public participation.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 9 written comments that have been submitted. I'll go ahead and read the public participation instructions. The members of the public will have the opportunity now to speak on items not listed on the agenda. Please state your name for the record before addressing your comments to the mayor and city council. Each speaker and written comment is limited to 3 minutes. Written comments will be read out loud after all speakers have been heard. Anyone wishing to make a comment may do so at this time by pressing *9 when instructed. Press *6 to unmute yourself. Individuals joining us through the Zoom app may request to make a comment by using the raise hand feature. I don't have any raised hands, but I have the written comments. Kind of to explain what these are, I'll go ahead and read what the individual sent over to us, to the city clerk's office. And this is, the following are written testimonies submitted by community members for the 12/9/21 and 3/12/22 public workshops on rent control. The first is a letter of support signed onto by business owners in the city, which you can also find attached in the PDF form. The remainder are personal testimony comments. And we're going to go ahead and start reading. We're going to time the individual testimonies to 3 minutes, so we'll have the clock on. Dear Bell Gardens City Council, we are business owners in the Bell Gardens community. We submit this letter of support of the Union de Vecinas and the community's demand for a strong rent control and just cause ordinance. This is not a landlord versus tenant issue. This is about human rights and moral integrity. It should not be legal for abusive landlords to push families out of the community or into the streets without just cause and purely for the sake of huge profits. Landlords have a right to fair return on their investments, and that is maintained under a rent control law. Rent control just limits the amount and frequency of increases so that renters can continue to budget for increased costs and afford to stay in their homes while landlords continue to adjust for changes in the budget, for changes in the cost of living. It helps renters keep money in their pockets to spend on the local economy, which helps businesses like ours stay open. Additionally, Just cause measures help prevent unfair, cruel evictions. They do not protect tenants who fail to pay the rent or violate their leases from evictions. Landlords who do not take advantage of their renters are in favor of the rent control and just cause because it helps stabilize our community and keeps families and children safe in their homes. Community leaders like us who want to keep our communities whole, healthy, and safe are in support of these changes. We ask you to please stand by the community and pass rent control, just cause, and more protections for tenants. And it's included the name of the individuals that show support. We're gonna keep it, would you like me to read all the names, Mayor? It's 31 names.
Yes, for the remainder of the 3 minutes.
Pardon?
Yes, for the remainder of the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The first one is Rafael Camarillo from El Torito. Second one, Jose Ramirez Lavenderia, Gage and Darwell. Third one, Ignacio Ramirez, locksmith on Florence Avenue. The fourth is Lisbeth Macias, beauty salon on Florence Avenue. And it's got 31 individuals that signed it, that submitted their name. We'll keep it part of the minutes, part of the public record. The next one is Wendy Escobar. My name is Wendy Escobar. I am a mother of 3, 2 amazing caring boys and a little girl. As a parent, you know how amazing it feels to hear your kids say want to be something in this life, want to make a difference in their communities and go to college. But sadly, my son got his dreams cut short. He saw how much we struggle and how hard it is for us to stretch our check. It was impossible for him to go to college, so he gave up and gave in and decided to work to help his parents out. Now 3 adults in the house work full-time, and it's not enough because every year in March, our rent is raised. So year after year, it is an uphill battle. It is hard for me to write this, but I ask that you look at the struggle this community goes through month after month and year after year. We need a break. We are tired, worn out of the never-ending situation with no rent, no relief in sight. Thank you for your time. The next one is from Ashley Cervantes. I have lived in Bell Gardens for 18 years. I asked the City Council to approve the Union de Vecinas recommendation, which include rent control of max 3% per year, just cause protections against unfair evictions, and create a rent board that will be in charge of implementing the new law. I support because it's not fair what the owners want to do by raising the rent every time they want. The next one is from Emily Hernandez. I have lived in Bell Gardens for 16 years. I asked the City Council to approve the Union de Vecinas recommendation, which include rent control of max 3% per year. Just cause protections against unfair evictions and create a rent board that will be in charge of implementing the new law. The next one is from Vicky Vertiz. Distinguished council members, neighbors, and city staff. My name is Vicky Vertiz, and my family has lived in Bell Gardens for 45 years. I asked the City Council to approve the Union de Vecinas recommendation, which includes rent control maximum of 3% per year, just cause protections against unfair evictions, create a rent board that will be in charge of implementing the laws locally. I support these demands because we have experienced unjustified rent increases, bullying, false eviction attempts, and intimidation over these 45 years by our landlords. Our family is on a fixed income with 2 retired and disabled parents, and our county's rising rents are now making our once affordable Southeast LA city charge ridiculously high rents, while our wages are stagnant. We have been living in crowded conditions forever, putting up with roaches, neglected buildings, pollution, and abuse for too long. Our community is 85% renters in Bell Gardens. We need leaders who will listen to their most vulnerable residents and who do not favor loud or wealthy landlords who claim they will be poor or that no developers will want to build in BG if rents are controlled. This is not true. Don't be fooled by threats like these. I imagine we can be the first CELA city to have a rent control and be the example for all of the other cities. We can be the leaders our working class communities deserve. I urge you to support rent control, just cause law, and stronger protections for Bell Gardens renters. Sincerely, Vicky Vertiz, Professor of Writing at UC Santa Barbara. The next one is from Mima. My name is Mima. I have lived in Bell Gardens for 9 years. I demand that the City Council approve a strong rent control and just clause law in BG that limits rent increases to no more than 3% per year. Profits rent increases for units that have been maintained and supports just cause protections against unfair evictions. I support these demands because current state laws do not provide enough renter protections, and we need our city council members to support our needs. In our case, my family is a renter family in Bell Gardens, and I, like many families in this city, are hardworking people who do the best they can with the circumstance we face in the past 6 years. I have witnessed my parents abide by the rent increases for our home, yet feel terrified every time the house needs some work done, whether it is a plumbing or something as simple as paint. They are scared our landlord will increase our rent even more the next time. So they'd rather pay out of pocket for house repairs. Families should not have to live like this. I am asking the city to support and help with passing rent control efforts for the city and helping the families who keep city councils in office. The next one is from Adam Vasquez. With rent control, landlords lose the ability to raise rents when they choose. Raising rent has made it more difficult for families to be able to stay in a stable home, or should I say, in a stable address. Some families are barely able to get by, fearing the rent will increase and they will have to look for another place to live. Children get affected by these changes. I believe rent control is a great system that helps tenants keep that peace in mind, that their calculations will add up and they will be able to have a more stressful budget list. They would have a more successful budget list. Landlords also get affected by these changes. Faithfully and loyal tenants evacuate due to higher charges in rent consistently. I believe there should be a limit in how many times and how much they are able to raise the rent by every year. I hope this short message is enough to make an impact on someone. It takes one person to impact everyone and everything else. The next one is from Miguel Gutierrez. I support the Union de Vecinas and the laws they are pushing for. We need rent control because I work in a minimum wage job from 5 a.m. till 10 p.m. and I'm barely able to get by. Gas prices are only going up, plus food and monthly bills. I work hard, very hard, Monday through Friday. And the final one is from Francis Jacobo. Good afternoon, Councilman. I strongly believe that we need rent control in our city. With cost of living going up, it's hard to sustain a home while providing basic needs to loved ones. Despite living through a pandemic, my rent has been increased 2 times within the last 2 years. It's frustrating that there's an expectation to accept high rent while my landlord is being negligent of the building's needs. And that concludes the English written comments that were submitted.
And now we'll continue with the Spanish comments.
Right here? Or I can go over there or whatever's.
Yeah, I was expecting the other one.
Did you need me to bring it?
Testimonios personales. Número 1. Mi nombre es Silvia Hernández. He vivido en Bell Gardens durante 34 años. Yo le pido al concilio que apruebe las recomendaciones de la UDB, que incluye protecciones como control de rentas de no más de 3% cada año y cubrir todas las unidades legalmente permitidas, tales como departamentos, dúplex, trailers y más. Yo apoyo estas demandas porque yo también he sido una rentera más que mi dueño me subió la renta en el año 2021 $300 de un solo y no se me hace justo que sigan subiendo renta cada que los dueños quieran. Por eso apoyo a Unión de Vecinas de Bell Gardens. 2. Mi nombre es Delfina Padilla. Yo nací en Bell Gardens toda mi vida y he conocido esta ciudad. Amo vivir aquí. Yo le pido al concilio que apruebe las recomendaciones de Unión de Vecinas de Bell Gardens, que incluye protecciones como control de renta de no más del 3% cada año y aumentar las multas a los dueños que nos acosan o toman represalias en contra de inquilinos. Yo apoyo estas demandas porque tengo 2 hijos que conocen los parques de esta ciudad. Aman Bell Gardens al igual que yo, pero con estos aumentos de renta cada año, no sé si pueda seguir pagando. Han escuchado ellos que platicamos de cambiarnos de estado y mi hijo de 13 años se pone a llorar porque dice que su vida está aquí en California y la verdad siento tan mal que espero y los del concilio pasen esta ley. 3. Mi nombre es Juan Zarate. He vivido en Bell Gardens por 22 años. Yo le pido al concilio que apruebe las recomendaciones de la Unión de Vecinas, que incluye control de renta de no más de 3% y crear un registro de alquileres para asegurar que las unidades se estén manteniendo. Durante estos 22 años he visto cómo han aumentado la renta. En lo personal, llegué a un lugar a rentar y me pidieron $600 de depósito y el primer mes de renta. Era un lugar horrible, estaba lleno de cucarachas y era un lugar de 2 recámaras. El baño apenas lo usamos y se vino la jaladera del baño. Fue una mala experiencia. Viví ahí solo 5 meses y cuando me salí supuestamente me iban a regresar el depósito, pero no lo hicieron. Y como uno es inmigrante, no sabemos qué hacer así ya que ya no pedimos. Es por eso que yo apoyo estas demandas. 4. Mi nombre es María Cadena. He vivido en Bell Gardens por 17 años. Yo le pido al concilio que apruebe las recomendaciones de Unión de Vecinas de Bell Gardens, que incluye protecciones como control de renta de no más de 3% cada año y aumentar las multas a los dueños que nos acosen o tomen represalias en contra de los inquilinos. En esos 17 años que estoy viviendo en Bell Gardens y he vivido en 2 lugares, en el primero me aumentaron en un año $650 y ahora que vivo en apartamento me suben cada año $100 y es demasiado y todo está muy caro. Por eso me gustaría que pasaran esta ley de control de renta y por eso yo apoyo la Unión de Vecinas. 5. Mi nombre es María Martínez. He vivido en Bell Gardens durante 5 años. Yo le pido al concilio que apruebe las recomendaciones de la Unión de Vecinas de Bell Gardens, que incluye protecciones como control de renta de no más de 3% cada año y causa justa para protegernos en contra de desalojos injustos. Yo apoyo estas demandas porque cada 2 años nos están subiendo la renta un 10%. Incluso entrando enero de este año, nos volvieron a subir la renta 10%. Yo soy madre soltera y es bien difícil salir adelante cuando nos están subiendo la renta tan alta. 6. Mi nombre es Rosa González. He vivido en Bell Gardens durante 23 años. Yo le pido al concilio que apruebe las recomendaciones de la Unión de Vecinas de Bell Gardens, que incluye protecciones como control de renta de no más de 3% cada año y causa justa para protegernos en contra de desalojos injustos. Yo apoyo estas demandas porque el dueño entrando este año me subió $200 de renta. Para mí es mucho dinero, puesto que ahorita no estoy trabajando. 7. Mi nombre es Jerónimo Bailón. He vivido en Bell Gardens durante 50 años. Yo le pido al concilio que apruebe las recomendaciones de la Unión de Vecinas de Bell Gardens, que incluye protecciones como control de renta de no más de 3% cada año, causa justa por desalojos injustos y cubrir todas las unidades legalmente permitidas, tales como departamentos, dúplex, trailers y más. 8. Mi nombre es Moisés Borunda. He vivido en Bell Gardens durante 10 años. Yo le pido al concilio que apruebe las recomendaciones de la Unión de Vecinas de Bell Gardens, que incluye protecciones como control de renta de no más de 3% cada año, causa justa por desalojos injustos y cubrir todas las unidades legalmente permitidas, tales como departamentos, dúplex, trailers y más. 9. Mi nombre es Marina. Me gustaría que hubiera control de renta porque no es justo que la gente que no gana bastante pague los platos rojos. Todo está subiendo, pero los sueldos no suben. Hace como 3 años nos subieron la renta a $200 más por mes, que son $2,400 al año que pudieron ser usados para vivir mejor. Algunos dueños de casas nunca gastan nada en las casas. Deberían haber una asociación para que puedan entrar a los apartamentos o casas para inspeccionar en las condiciones en que están las viviendas, porque algunos dueños de casas buscan cualquier pretexto para subir las rentas. En mi caso, la persona que está a cargo de donde yo vivo nos ha subido la renta $50 por año los últimos 2 años, pero su mamá, que en paz descanse, nos subía $100 por año y la última vez fueron $200, pero nunca se le han hecho arreglo a las casas. Espero que me entiendan. Otros comentarios. Hola, mi nombre es María y estoy apoyando a la Unión de Vecinos porque amo Bell Gardens, pero con el excesivo aumento de renta, tal vez uno tenga que emigrar de Bell Gardens. Mis hijos nacieron aquí, aman su ciudad y ellos no quieren irse. Por mis hijos que amamos la ciudad, nos gustaría que pasaran control de renta y causa justa. Gracias. Estimados concejales, mi nombre es María Chávez. Ustedes conocen la comunidad, saben que la mayoría de las personas que rentan en verdad son de bajos recursos. Como han dejado que por tantos años pasen los años y no hacen nada por su propia gente. Es triste ver que algunos padres de familia tienen que tener 2 trabajos para poder sobrevivir. Las rentas están caras y después nos quejamos del vandalismo. Pues si los padres no tienen tiempo de atender a sus hijos o pagan la renta o atienden a sus hijos, una cosa lleva a la otra. Y ya está.
Mayor Polito, if I can make a comment briefly about these non-agendized public comments. So the comments that were received written in Spanish and that were read in Spanish will be converted and translated on the documents into English as well. So it'll be part of the record in Spanish and in English for those that may look towards these documents that don't speak Spanish. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no objection by the city council, I will close public participation. We will now move to council member comments. Councilmember Barcena.
Yes, thank you. And sorry for the delay. I got my earpiece tangled in my mask. But I want to thank all the residents that submitted public comment. As part of the rent control ad hoc, I'm aware of the severity of the situation when it comes to increasing rent. And I think it's important that the entire council hears your testimony. We did have a workshop this week, and we did have testimony as well. So we're trying to do everything we can as a city to make sure that we tune into the needs of our community. And I want to encourage you guys to continue to be vocal about this and continue to be involved. Whether you're involved as a tenant or any other aspect of city government, I think it's essential that you provide your feedback, because that's the source of progress for the city. If we don't hear what's going on with you, if we don't hear how the residents are doing, then what are we really doing? So thank you for those that submitted a public comment. Thank you for all the staff that helped put together the rent control workshop that we had. It's very complex because we translate it and we have panelists that come from various sources. We have scholars that share their knowledge. We have people from the real estate business provide their insight. So we try to keep a balanced outlook. And we, at the same time, we continue to listen to our community. So we had that workshop, everything went well, and we are going to now move forward to explore what our possibilities are in regards to rent control. So again, thank you all for the comments. We're working very hard on the topic, and we will continue to keep you posted. Thank you, Gustavo Romo, our Director of Community Development. He's the one that is sort of, he's a mastermind behind these workshops because he makes it all happen with the help of staff and all the other volunteers, local nonprofit organizations, and as well as the scholars that I mentioned. So thanks again, everyone, for your efforts. Thank you, everyone, for putting together a great meeting today. And thank you to those, and I'm not exactly sure who it was, but I know one of our council members took the initiative to invite high school students and showcase their achievements, their athletic achievements, as well as we learned that it's not only an athletic achievement that they're accomplishing, but they're also getting into good schools. So thank you, council, for making that happen, and thank you, staff, for accommodating that into our meeting.
Councilwoman Cortez.
Thank you, everyone, for a great meeting, and thank you, staff, for putting this great agenda together, as well as our workshop on Saturday. I think it was a success. We had a 3-hour workshop in which we incorporated testimony and public comment from our community, and it's nice to hear from them again and for our colleagues to have an opportunity to learn more about this issue. But with that said, have a great night.
Councilwoman Flores.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say thank you to all the callers that take their time and participate. We really hear you out, and it's so important that you continue to be involved and know that your council is here for you. I know sometimes it's a little scary, but we're here for you guys. And with that, everybody have a lovely evening, and we'll see you soon.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Thank you so much for that. Briefly, I do want to share some of the activities that I've been up to within these past 2 weeks since our last council meeting. Wednesday, March 2nd to the 4th, I had the pleasure of attending Contract City's legislative tour. I got to meet with our Assemblywoman Cristina Garcia, along with various other senators and assembly members throughout the region, including Assemblymember Wendy Carrillo, Senator Student Rubio, Assemblymember Mike Gibson, and Senator Bradford, among others. We got to discuss various issues, including homelessness, housing, affordability, policing, and various other topics. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to meet with our state senator, Lina Gonzalez, due to schedule conflict. However, I will be meeting with her in our city soon, so I look forward to showing her around Bell Gardens. Friday, March 4th, I had the pleasure of attending Ms. Sarmiento's Cesar Chavez 5th grade class. I got to read a book called Dreamers by Yugi Morales. It's an amazing story that dictates the journey that Yugi Morales had to go through being undocumented in this country and navigating the journey being an immigrant, with being a single mother as well. The students loved the story, and teachers even mentioned that they would request to have the book in their school library, so I was pretty happy about that. Monday, March 7th, I had the pleasure of attending the 710 Ad Hoc Committee through the Gateways COG. We got to hear about the COG Transportation Initiative, which included projects throughout the seven that were nexus with the 710 corridor. We saw the Complete Streets projects across major intersections. We saw a strategic transportation plan that was compiled by all jurisdictions throughout the Gateway Cities COG. The presentation included our very own Florence corridor, and it also mentioned the very new West Santa Ana Branch Transportation Initiative. This last weekend, we had a rent control public workshop. Really glad to have attended. I attended for a little bit. I was glad to see the amount of attendance that our community, the amount of folks that showed up through our community. It goes to show the turnout and the interest of importance when it comes to this issue of rent control. And I hope to continually see the community active, not just on this issue of rent control, but the rest of the issues that we tackle as a council. Finally, this leads me to today. I'm currently in the National League of Cities here in Washington, D.C. conference. It's actually about to be 12 o'clock midnight. I'll tell you, it's really cold out here in DC. I didn't expect it. My sweater just doesn't cut it. I should have brought a coat. We just completed day one. We still have 2 more days left out here in the conference. Today was a busy day. I got to attend general open session. Got to hear from various elected officials located throughout the U.S. Got to attend a session on homelessness. I got to listen to Susan Rice, Ambassador Susan Rice, Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and finally hear from our very own President Joe Biden. Aside from hearing from various elected officials, I got to meet with the Department of Energy and discuss various programs that are available for communities like ours when it comes to rebates on electric vehicles and solar, the exploration of solar for our community that's mostly made up of renters like ours. In these next 2 days, I'll be meeting with 2 other departments, including the Department of Transportation, Department of Housing and Urban Development, along with both of our senators, Senator Alex Padilla and Senator Dianne Feinstein, along with our Congresswoman Lucia Roybal Eller, to discuss various issues facing our city, Bell Gardens, along with other communities throughout Southeast Los Angeles. One of those being the very, very crisis of our water issue, right? We just heard in our mid-year budget review the impact that it's costing us financially when it comes to importing water, right? So that's an issue that I'm constantly advocating for. And I look forward to bringing more initiatives to our community. With that said, that concludes my council member comments. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No comments from me except for thank you for staff for putting together all the reports and keeping us updated and educated in regards to all the items on the agenda. If there's no objection by the city council, I will adjourn the city council meeting at 8:45. Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.